Hi Aquarius, welcome to your full moon in Leo reading for February 5th, 2023. Full moons close out cycles, so we're going to have a look at what cycle is being closed out for you for the next 2 to 4 weeks, probably two. And the theme for the next 2 weeks for you is temperance. So patience, refinement. There's an alchemy going on an internal level, so major arcana always means that things are going on an internal level, and that's why I make it a theme for you. It's what's going on internally, and that always affects what's going on externally. So it's good to know the origin of the situation, but also what it is you're working towards. Why is this stuff happening? What needs refinement? What do you need to be patient with yourself with? That kind of energy. So, internal alchemy, things are changing. First on the internal level. You could find inspiration that helps you to change things around. You could be patient because you need to find a balance to something. And that's what I mean by refinement. Alchemy is turning base metals into gold, and so there are base emotions, base thoughts that are seeking a higher level, a more refined level. And that's what's happening here. And so if you can compare that to anything that's happening in your outer world, you can probably see a pattern. And when you're conscious of the pattern, you have more ability to stop the momentum from anything negative you're thinking or dealing with and trying to put a positive spin on it, or understand what needs to be refined or changed just a little bit. Tweaking. Okay. And we do need to be patient through the process. So there's that. All right, let's see what is closing out for you. You have the temperance card. So there you go. I just spoke about that. There's refinement. I kind of feel like you're in between something right now. And the process hasn't completed itself yet. But as you can see, one foot's in the water, one foot is on the ground. Those are two different elements that need to find a balance. All right, let's see what that may be. Three of Pentacles. Okay, so you could be refining collaborative efforts. You might be working with other people, and that needs to find its balance. In this case, maybe who's giving instruction, who's doing the actual physical work, who's doing the thinking part of it, depending on what it is you're working on. But it is collaborative efforts, it's creative efforts. And this is somebody who has finished their learning process, and they're on their first real big job, their first position after learning this. So we've gone from apprentice to the beginning stages of mastery. 3 is always a creative number. We'll get more on this in a minute, but there does seem to need maybe a refinement of the workflow, because there are 3 people involved, because there are cooperative efforts, or more people involved for you, whatever. I'm just explaining the image. And I feel also in this case, refining some of your mental considerations, because that blue gentleman, his frock and his tights and shoes are really coming out to me, and blue for me is a very mental energy, and so this can be refining at the mental level. which I think would make perfect sense for um, Aquarius, because it is air, and air is thought and action. Sometimes this can be a somewhat spiritual card because there's a monk involved in this uh, card, and as well they're in a sort of cathedral space. So this can be higher minded stuff, loftier things, not necessarily base. And as far as I'm concerned, creativity comes from that inspired action. How are you dealing with it? As a Pisces, that could be a few things. That could be a very creative energy. It's also intuitive and psychic, and it's also the mysteries. But on the negative side, it can be insecurities. So that could be something that we're trying to balance out here. It's a very expansive energy, so maybe Temperance is saying to slow down a little bit and not try to move too quickly. And as you are here, the apprentice, or just out of the apprenticeship, um, you know, still careful steps. You know what you're doing, but you haven't completely mastered it. You aren't at the Eight of Pentacles, which is mastery, just yet. You're well on your way, however, because you've got all the study done. And Pisces often likes to jump in a little bit too quickly. They are enthusiastic and can jump in too quickly. I would also like to note that he's also wearing a blue frock, and for me, again, that has some mental energy with it, and Pisces can get a little bit too much in their head, so we want to be in our body as well. We need to find that balance as well. Grounded energy is what I'm getting at here. Okay, and remember, 1 foot in the water, right? 1 foot in that creative, spiritual, mysterious expanse, and 1 foot on the physical land, the grounded, earthial energy. Okay? Oh, and you have the star. Oh, that's nice. So this is very inspirational energy. You are inspired. You're being led to a situation, and the future looks really, really good with that. At least you are quite hopeful about it, and optimistic, which is really nice, because sometimes the Page of Cups can get in a very pessimistic mood, and because there's moodiness with water and Pisces as well. But in this case, you are optimistic and hopeful with the star. And again, there's that earth and water element. So earth and water make mud, and mud creates, it's clay. It creates anything you want. So that's very interesting that we are dealing with water and earth here. So that means that would be your inspiration, and applying it to the physical, really getting something tangible done from the loftier ideas and imaginings and daydreamings. It's a really great combination. It can take what you can imagine into reality, into actual physical form, and that's exactly what's happening here. Because these are the plans of what they want him to do, and so these are the imaginings, and he's actually carrying that out now. Nice, very nice. 2 of Pentacles is the result. So, again, it really kind of re-emphasizes this temperance card of juggling 2 things, earth and water, inspiration and form. And could be also finances, right? So Pentacles are finances, and they are the physical health. So you might be juggling either one of those things. This can be an emotional juggle, but juggling is a playful experience. So either It's asking you to be a little more playful in your approach, or it's saying that you are taking things a little bit lighter, not as heavy. And that's a really good possibility here because patience is teaching you to find that middle path. And Pisces can also be very, very youthful and playful. Okay, well, if it's finances, I'm pretty sure you're working towards solidifying something, and um, it's sort of like bringing it out for the greater good. It's your legacy as well. What do you want to leave behind when you're gone? What do you want people to speak of? What have you done for society, for your family, for the public at large, for community, for the world? There can be a lot of communication, and you can see that here. There's a lot of communication between um, the people who are commissioning a project. The Ten of Pentacles is a lot of money, so it can be inheritance as well. But it's more like, so the Nine of Pentacles for me is really inheritance because it's a luxurious life. And this is saying, okay, well, how can that luxury extend out to more people, not just for me, but community, family, that sort of thing. And it's a lot of money. So I think you are working towards that sort of thing. And even if you aren't, what you are creating, what you are doing might very well have that effect. And that could be excellent financial opportunity, but it can also be excellent physical health. So let's get some clarification, even though I find this to be quite complete. And yeah, and and simple, and I think truth is simple. I like that. And because it's general, it's quite hard to get a lot of specifics for a lot of people. You have the Four of Swords here, so in this new beginning, there could be a lot of planning going on, or you may need to find a balance between work and rest. Remember, temperance is finding that balance. So this is a physical rest while we're planning, but I do have the feeling that with the Three of Pentacles, it's quite a busy card. Three is a lot of energy, and the nice thing about it is, though, that with that Page of Cups card, the imaginings that you do have, the energy that's going on an interior level in your mind and in your imagination can really be grounded here. At some point you will pick up that sword and get to work or get busy. Or maybe, like I said, you take moments out to imagine a situation and then you work on it physically, which would be actually ideal for you. But there could also be, in this case, because it's a situation that we're closing out, it can be that we are moving into a more productive time, and the time of rest in between is starting to change, because temperance is about change, right? So that could be the thing that we are closing out here. We may be having less restful moments and less of the planning stage and moving more into the physical action and doing stage. Okay, you have the Nine of Swords here. In this case, because you have two, it's aspected by two fairly positive cards, and the Star is positive. The Pisces can go both ways. There are two fish, right? One goes one way, one goes the other. And this is another thing that can be tempered here. Now, you may be having difficulty sleeping with this card, but for me it's also an indication that the planets have a play here, and the planets are moving. And so in another month, I believe, we're going to be starting a new 20-year cycle. So planets are playing out and they're finishing up. And what I've noticed about cycles is towards the end of the cycle, you kind of get a rough bump where you get to see if you've learned that lesson from that cycle and how you handle that. and then things will go smoothly again. So it's like harvest follows fallow. Fallow is that difficulty, that nothingness, or in this case, a challenge, just to see how much you've absorbed from the lesson that you have learned from this particular cycle. Now, this could be the 20-year cycle because we are changing 20 years, but again, it could just be the last month from the last full moon, or it could be the cycle of just the new moon, and now the full moon is ending that cycle. Okay? And that's a little bit of my feeling. Now, also here, because we have two rest cards, it could be that your sleeping patterns have been changed or difficult. And I've actually heard that from a lot of people, so it's highly, highly possible. This card is also the card of a thought that can get away from you. And with Pisces, that is a definite possibility because of their big, fat imagination. And so it can be that a thought takes on a life of its own. It may not have any reality base to it, but if you let that thought take on a life of its own, again, the imagination is what creates. So that's something that you don't want to create in your life. And if that's not the case, then it's just a matter of the planets playing out here. And one last card for the Two of Pentacles and the Ten of Pentacles, which is the result again. You have a Page of Wands. This is my Sagittarius card. This is a fiery energy. This can be one of the people that you're speaking to, because a lot of the times Ten of Pentacles is communication, but it's also somebody who works very good in a team situation. He's totally a team player. He knows his strengths and he knows his weaknesses, and he knows when to give the baton over to somebody else and to sort of step back a little bit, or how to cooperate. And this is collaborative efforts, remember that. It's also another expansive card. This is somebody who is expanding his philosophy, his adventure. This is somebody who really loves a good adventure. They are a great team player. They have fiery energy. So again, we're looking at the balance between water and fire, or maybe in this case, earth and fire. So what does fire do to earth and water? Well, if you have clay, it hardens it. It gives it a stronger, stricter form, so it's less breakable. Okay? So you're getting the alchemy here of what's going on in your situation, in your world. I'm seeing it. I'm hoping you are. It can be metaphorically, but I think it's the clearest way to explain this. But in a kiln, when you are baking your clay, that takes time, and that's also temperance. So you're watching the stages, actually, of the creative process. And you're taking it from imagination to form to function. And by function, I mean now that your clay pot has been fired and it's solid, you can drink from it, you can have a meal on it, you can put flowers in it. So then it becomes functional. I am rather impressed with your reading. And I say that because it really is taking, allowing you to see the steps here of what it is the Temperance card is actually doing. It's really, really good. All right, so what does Spirit want you to know? You have the Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords. So this can be people that you feel are open enemies, But it's also, and I find this to be more applicable, to be honest with you, it's taking what you've learned and going somewhere else with it. So the apprentice has learned what he needed to, and now he's taking it to the street. He's taking it to the people. Here. He's taking it outward. And I feel that that's the most applicable to this. It is actually also things going on behind the scenes. So what does community get to see? They get to see the completed clay pot. But look at all the stuff that happens, right? Before the public even gets to view it, before they even know that it exists. And so this is the process. It is, you are learning process with the Temperance card and understanding your particular process or how the process works. And that should have been what Saturn did for you these last 7 years. Showed you the process. And now you get to reap the rewards with that Ten of Pentacles. What a wonderful, complete reading this is. It doesn't leave you hanging. There's not more to go. You get to see it from beginning to end and understand the process. And so if you had to do it again, you would have the blueprint. Lovely. And not only that, this is the great thing, right, with the Ten of Pentacles. Not only do you have the blueprint, but you can pass that blueprint on to other people. This is how I did it. Maybe this works for you. And that is a wonderful, that's a, excuse me, that is an amazing legacy to leave. Wow. In this case, thank you, Saturn, because I know Saturn's going to be moving on very, very quickly if it hasn't already. In fact, I think it has just left. So wonderful. This is a fantastic reading. Okay. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back in 2 weeks with a new moon reading. I do dailies. Thank you for listening. Really, really superior reading. Take care. Bye.